want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna let myself get absolutely soaking wet.
Scrap it and start over. The people's verdict on South Yorkshire Police. The force shamed at Hillsborough has a legacy of distrust stretching back to the miners' strikes and through to the Rotherham child abuse scandal. For many in Sheffield, there is only one acceptable conclusion. Scrap it and start all over with a new lot. The corruption's too deep, no one trusts the police, said John Anderson, 42, a decorator from the city's northern suburbs. Directly behind him, its red bricks shiny in the driving rain, stood a derelict building that was once Sheffield's Water Street police station. Some of the grimmest known episodes of violence and corruption within a British police force took place inside. Within the station's interview room, detectives brutally beat suspects with stolen weapons, including a rhino whip, and fabricated evidence to frame them. An inquiry into the rhino whip affair in 1963 found the leadership of the force was involved. The chief constable retired days later. More than 50 years on, another chief constable of South Yorkshire Police has been forced to step down after evidence was fabricated by the force yet again. Suspended on full £193,000 pay before his retirement in 6 months, David Crompton was found to have presided over a strategy during the 2-year inquest into the Hillsborough tragedy that involved recycling untruths against Liverpool supporters, a ploy to implicate fans over the deaths of 96 people killed at a football match in 1989. Quest jury concluded that the fans had been unlawfully killed and that police failings had contributed to their deaths. For the force, it was a catastrophic verdict, which critics said illuminated a culture of impunity and unaccountability inside South Yorkshire Police. A shambles followed. After Crompton's suspension, a temporary chief constable was swiftly unveiled. Less than a day into the job, Dawn Copley was also forced to stand down when it emerged that her conduct at a previous force was under investigation. Many of the 1.3 million residents of South Yorkshire have had enough. I've heard people say it's the worst public sector organisation in the country. I can believe that, said waitress Marjorie Richards, 42. Standing outside Sheffield's Snig Hill police station waiting for the 88 bus to Bent Green, Tara Newman, 38, from Hackenthorpe, admitted she did not know anyone who would go to the police to report a minor crime. What's the point? They wouldn't do anything. I'd rather go to a friend. Standing nearby was former council worker Ben Hughes, 67, who felt the force's leadership was contaminated by a few bad pennies who think they can get away with murder. He was infuriated that the force, which has a £143 million budget, had spent £24 million on lawyers, who on their behalf presented allegations that were found to be false throughout the Hillsborough inquest, suggesting that blame lay with innocent people. Each house in South Yorkshire eligible to pay council tax is estimated to have contributed £12 towards the force's outstanding legal bill for the inquest. Others believed that the force had become too disconnected from the citizens it serves. Many complain that officers rarely leave their vehicles. If the residents of Sheffield feel let down by the police force in neighbouring Rotherham, the mood is one of outrage. This town of 260,000 people has been scarred by the failures of its police to challenge the widespread abuse of its youngsters. An ongoing investigation into how the force failed to tackle the sexual abuse of, according to one official report, at least 1,400 children in Rotherham, and received more than 100 allegations against 42 named officers, some of whom are alleged to have had relations with offenders. There's no trust towards the police. We need to fetch the broom, said Susan Hayes, 62, a lifelong resident. David Parker, 21, said that many people felt they couldn't rely on the police for protection. There's a lot of crime in the area, people don't feel safe. 12 miles north is Barnsley, a town which also harbours a resentment towards South Yorkshire Police. 30 years ago, up to 12,000 miners worked in the town. Now there are none, but the tactics used by the police to break the miners' strike of 1984 mean that the force remains a toxic brand. Plenty of Barnsley folk say that the tactics used by the force in the wake of Hillsborough were developed and refined during the miners' strike. Officers stand accused of collusion in making statements that saw picketing miners falsely charged and subsequent court cases dropped due to unreliable evidence. The head office of the National Union of Mine Workers stands squarely in Barnsley town centre. The General Secretary, Chris Kitchen, is keenly aware that the past behaviour of police makes it difficult for many to view the force as anything other than the enemy. You hear that, guys? The enemy! This is war! This is war! They are the enemy. You've made yourself the enemy. An hour coming, guys. South Yorkshire Police just summons me for 3 coronavirus offences separately, guys. 3 separate coronavirus offences. I've just been summoned by South Yorkshire Police immediately before making this. Respect, guys. There is no respect towards the police force because of their corrupt behaviour during the strike. People do not trust them. They need to be held accountable and show they are not above the law. After the drama of the last week, there are even voices now calling for South Yorkshire Police to be disbanded. In the simmering towns of this former industrial heartland, there is a desire for a new kind of police force.